How's it going? This is a new project that I'm starting. Maybe a mistake. I saw this on Facebook Marketplace for just $20. And I figured, the wheels are probably worth 10 bucks a piece, or, there's some part of it that will make it worth it. This is a Pathfinder 6000. Probably a lot more work than it's worth. Kind of depending on how the disassembly goes, we'll figure out what to do with it. I don't want to put a lot of money into it. If that C-post is completely seized, and I feel like it might be, if that's seized, I'm not going to put any major effort into it. I'll just strip what parts I can from it and then give the frame away, something like that. Seems like the C-post is not actually stuck, so that's a good sign. I was able to twist it. I mean, it might be stuck, but it's not completely seized. There is movement, which, from what I've seen online, that's not the worst case scenario. You can see this hardware is completely trashed. Really sure how to proceed here, but I'm gonna try to get some oil in there. It seems like this bike has never had any oil on it. The chain is basically clean. Oh, that is not bad at all. I was fearing the worst. We might have to actually put some money into this project. I know that I'm going to need all new cabling, and I think I'm one cable short in my spare parts. So this is a Exage HB RM50 with quick release, some absolutely destroyed tires. It's just like completely destroyed. I don't have compressed air or anything, so I've been using soapy water, and it's actually worked for getting them on or off. Halfway there. There we go. Let's see how stuck this is. Hardly stuck at all. It's amazing. Never had any oil, but never got stuck. pretty good. The brakes don't look too bad. Kind of just seems like the bike is hardly used. That doesn't seem too bad. I'm not able to get these out. Just pull it straight out. This is not the sort of thing I expected to have trouble with. Oh, I'm rotating it. There we go. Yeah, so that's completely corroded. These are just so bad. I may keep these on hand because they can be helpful. This pivoting thing, which I haven't seen before, but looks pretty useful. I turned this the wrong way. I don't think so. Yeah, that's a better technique. It was just technique. These are crusty. Oh, that did nothing. Oh. Ah, finally. Perfect. This looks fine to me, just kind of dirty. This is the Exage 300LX. Everything has been pretty easy to dismantle other than the pedals so far. So we'll see. I got some new tools. Since my last bike build, and actually my last bike build was not even televised. That's weird. It's not usually a nut, it's usually a bolt. My last bike build was a Nakamura with a black crackle coat paint job, which I was really happy with, and found it at a thrift store for $40. And I figured, you know, for the paint job alone, it's probably worth getting. I could always flip it, yada yada yada, you know, the old girl math that goes into buying things for your hobby as an investment. One of the problems that bike had was a crank that kept loosening. And so I got this $20 tool. But I don't have, I didn't replace the bottom bracket. It had a very similar chain ring to this, but silver. Another Biopace oval crank. And it's an interesting bike. Not amazing or anything, but not terrible. Here's a close-up of the Biopace crank. See that it's an oval, which is supposed to reduce the dead spot when the crank is vertical. I don't know, mostly it just feels kind of lumpy to ride, like it wobbles. It feels like it goes this way, or at least on the other bike that I've actually ridden. I haven't ridden this bike at all. I got this bike from just down the street, and this is how I brought it back. Too far to walk, but pretty hard to bring home 2 bikes. I do not have a tool for this specifically, so hopefully this side goes as smoothly as the last one. Spiders got in. Oh, did I tighten it? Maybe I tightened it. Yeah. So these are like, not really on there too strong, but so far I haven't seen one that uses nuts instead of bolts on the square taper shaft. Usually it's threaded on the inside. It's tight enough so that the threads don't move. Hold that there. Thread this in. Tight, and then there we go. Like, it didn't feel that bad, chunky or stuck. There's some shininess from wear. No visible damage. Pitting seems just fine. Amazing. An old, unknown bike that I guess just no one rode, and had just enough lubrication where it mattered that it didn't completely seize up or rot through. I guess this project will continue. It's not just a parts bin project. Okay, so a couple days later, I am waiting for some parts and tools to arrive. In the meantime, I have completely cleaned and polished certain areas. So like the brake things are polished. The quick release for the stem, or not the stem, seat post has been cleaned. I do need to source either an O-ring. So there used to be a rubber O-ring in there that just fell off. I'm gonna try gluing in some leather, see if that works. And then the entire seat post has been polished, sanded with 150, 220, and 320 grit, as well as quadruple zero steel wool. stem has been cleaned up inside, outside. I've oiled or greased the bearings, which were in good condition. I've preloaded this, so it feels pretty good. It doesn't spin forever, but it feels sufficient. It's tight and it's good. I want to just keep the original stem here because that is the most cost-effective way, though it would look a lot better with a silver stem. Original handlebars, original grips, original stem, cantilever brakes that came with it. Hopefully all of that is possible with this app. I'm waiting on tools to remove the bottom bracket. Each side, I actually don't have a tool for either side because this feels pretty crusty, chunky. I got to see if I can improve that. On this part on the bottom of the frame, there's some damage from the kickstand. So what I did is went over it with steel wool and WD-40, then alcohol to clean, and then some clear coat spray paint just brushed on, and that should prevent any further damage to this area. I went over a few other spots on the frame in a similar manner. So the plan for today is to try to get these shifters working. They feel really sluggish. They don't feel like they're actually shifting right at all. So see how much of this can be disassembled and go from there. Is that one? That's can't go there. So if I can't get the shifter to work, I had the idea of cutting off along this line here and reusing the brakes. And then I can get any shifters. Because these combo like brake shifter things kind of suck when one part of it goes wrong. One's home to many spiders. Nasty. So I know that this has been just barely ridden, so it shouldn't be broken. It's just like seized up. Trying to take this apart in order and flip each piece as I go. So I think this is actually in pretty good shape. It was just like dry oil. But that's not how you disconnect it. It's this little lock ring that I couldn't see for the dirt and grime. Go. This is going to be impossible to put back together. All right. Yeah, but that was the secret. And yeah, this is really, really stuck. Well, it wasn't easy, but I got it back together. And it is working. So, great. Shout out Atboy for his video on the 3-speed MO50, MO560 left shifter rebuild service overhaul disassembly, because I could not have put it back together without that. All right, so it's all cleaned and oiled and reassembled, and it's probably the most difficult thing I've ever had to do. Got it connected to a cable here. It's on the table just so I can demo that it works. So it doesn't seem to work without any cable tension. It's supposed to have cable tension if it's connected to a driller. Yeah, so it's like up 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. I think that's working.
That's true.
With some help from my impact driver, I got these crankset bolts loose. Taking it apart was pretty easy, but it took me several tries to put it back together on camera. I don't know what happened, but I think it took 5 attempts, false starts, to get the chainring order correct, and I don't know what I was thinking. And this whole time that I was working on this part, I'm doing voiceover over this because I was having windows and doors installed in my apartment, and it's just like they're doing demolition, but I'm like feeling so behind on this project. It's already taken me at least a week. Feel like I'm not making any progress. So taking these apart is easier than putting them together. With these oval chain rings, the main thing you want to look out for is that there's a little tab which points the same direction as the crank arm. So align that and that little metal post underneath the crank arm. I'm just cleaning this with soapy water. You know, the paint is like still there in a lot of these parts. So it looks like nobody ever used the third chain ring. All right, quick update. I've got all the brakes cleaned and reinstalled. Got the bottom bracket, drive side, taken off. I was waiting for a 36 millimeter wrench, which I got via Amazon, and it turned out to kind of suck, and it wasn't long enough to get enough leverage. So I head over to Deals for You in Nanaimo, and I found this Mac tool, which Definitely fits better. It's heavier, it's longer, and somebody modified it as a wrench on the end. I mean, I don't know what the purpose of that is, other than it's a convenient way to hang it. But yeah, that did the trick. And it is definitely pretty crusty. Clearly never been cleaned. It's got some like mud in there. Hopefully it's not too messed up. It's hard to tell.
Okay, do you know if you need 2 or 3 buckets?
All right, it's a few days later and I did some work off camera. I got the derailleurs cleaned up. If you saw from the teardown, this was all rust here and also on the backside, and that's all been 90% improved. There's still some black spots where it's slightly rough, but you know, it's not rough, coarse, crusty rust. So that's all good. Cleaned up the rear wheel. I did not manage to get the cassette or freewheel free hub off. So I just kind of sprayed some degreaser in there and got a towel between each part. And that's looking good now. The chain was reattached and actually seems to be in pretty good condition. I didn't record taking apart the derailleur because it is actually such a pain to do. This part, if you can manage it, don't take this part up. This part, reassembling it, is very difficult. This other part here is also quite difficult because you're fighting spring tension. You're fighting the tension the whole way. The only kind of tip I have is that if possible, you can jam a screwdriver between here and in here somewhere to kind of keep it open, and then it's not going to like spring closed on you like a rat trap. Still waiting on cables and the cable housing. Yeah, so it was white cables. They came in from AliExpress last night. Yeah, no real major issues with the cabling. It always takes a little longer than I expect, but I think it looks really good with the white. Front derailleur shifts quite violently down, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, these shifters don't work great. I really don't like these handlebars, but these are the original ones. I might try to adjust the angle slightly, and that might help, but maybe not. One thing I did mess up was I chose the wrong cable for the rear. I really chose the wrong cable for the front brakes, and I didn't realize that the package I ordered had 2 different lengths of cables. And so I used the long cable on the front and the short cable on the back, and this is the maximum length. This is as far as it would go, so it would not actually make it down to here. But if I used the right cable, if I didn't already cut the cable, it would have been fine. Luckily, I had this other piece here around the front. Front, it's this original piece, which I do kind of like better, I think. It's pretty neat. Now, the other thing I figured out on these brakes is that inside there's a spring, and there's 2 different colors of springs, and the silver one goes on the left side, and the one on the right is brass or gold. So there's a gold in the silver one, and the shapes are slightly different. I thought they were just, I don't know what I thought, but it made a difference. They were not springing back at all. But overall, this build is done, and I can put it up for sale soon. Something I just realized about this bike is the original color of all the text was like lime green, neon green. Like, you can just barely see some there as well. Yeah, this spot was covered up by the U-lock holder or something. That's funny. I had no idea.